Retention is extremely important for productivity because the more you learn and the more you retain, the more you can use right away. And if you don't retain information, well, that just results in poor performance. So immediately improving your learning retention improves your performance and your productivity. So let's learn about it and retain it. Okay, fun, fun, fun. So let's get into it. First, to understand is that forgetting isn't linear. There's something called the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. It's an exponential curve. It's a little bit of a tricky curve. So I'll just explain how it really works out. So in the beginning, at about the 19 minutes mark of when we learn something, more or less, we only retain 60% of what we learn. And the retention in the first few minutes and throughout the first day, at first we forget really fast, and then our forgetfulness slows down. So by the end of the day, we only retain 33% of what we learn if we don't practice what we learn. And after 1 month, our forgetfulness is slowing down, and we have about a 21% retention. And of course, low retention means low performance. So our goal in this video is going to be, well, how do you battle this? How do you fix this? So the first way to fix it is repeated retrieval. It's recommended that you retrieve the information 4 to 6 times. By retrieval, it just means a few techniques. For example, after you learn it, don't just learn it and go away. Start associating ideas, thinking about it. You should also discuss and debate what you learned with others. Maybe tell it to your friend. They're going to ask you a question. You're going to realize, oh, I don't know how to answer this question. Let me think about it. Let me go back. And so you will do this retrieval and by doing that, you'll research more about the topic that you forgot, and you'll be kind of bringing it back, bringing it back, bringing it back. Another thing to do is, of course, taking a test or being quizzed about it. You can do that with a friend, or if you have a formal school in which you're in, you'll probably have a test. But if you don't have a test, you can create little quiz. You can do it for yourself. You can get a friend to do it, coworker. Another thing to do is try to explain or teach this topic to somebody else. When you teach something, you realize what you don't know. And of course, going over it again and again will tell your brain, hey, this is important, focus on this. And of course, very important for a lot of us, the best learning is when we do the learning. We practice what we learn. So actually practice what you learn, practice the skills, put them to action, and do this about 4 to 7 times after you learn something. And that will greatly enhance your retention. Now, how do you space this 4 to 7 times? Or no, that's an approximate range. But well, that day, try to go over it 2 to 3 times, and a few more times in within the next 3 days, and then a few more throughout the week, and then maybe throughout that month, once or twice throughout that month. So the idea is to space out the retrieval over time. This is partially why cramming isn't as effective because first, it's not a lot of retrieval, it's a lot of new things coming at once, but it also doesn't allow for the spacing of the retention. Now, let's go over a few other factors that impact retention. Your mental alertness that day, right? Did you get enough sleep? Are you mentally alert? Also, if it's interesting for you, if it's relevant, you're going to, of course, retain more of the information. If it's useless information, you're going to forget it. And part of that is just getting into doing things that you care about because you'll wonder, I don't care about this topic. Why is my performance low? Well, it's because your brain realizes it doesn't care about it and it discards that information. So it's harder to learn things. Also, if you get information presented in different ways, for example, the reason I make my videos voice and reinforcing it with text is that I know that if I talk about it and then if I show it, reinforce it with text, and sometimes when I have things to show, I actually show it on the screen. Though the combination of those three is stronger than one, so the more ways you can be shown the information, the better you'll retain it. Also, of course, if the material is difficult, then you want to retrieve it more often. And your current stress levels and ability to pay attention to whatever you're learning, that also impacts retention. So now you understand the problems with retaining information you learn and techniques for how to improve retention. And it's really just a lot of retrieval, a lot of going over and over and over it, and then you'll get it. And it will get into your long term memory in which the forgetfulness is as minimal as possible.